Right, hello everybody. I just wanted to make this video because I get asked this question quite a lot, and the question is, as you can probably see by the title, why did you decide to switch to Yao 5x5 and up? So obviously a lot more people are starting to switch to Yao now, and some people contemplating the decision want to know why other people switched, and I just wanted to talk through that pretty much, why I made the decision to switch, and why I think Yao is better, at least on 5x5, and why I think it's better for me on 6x6 and 7x7. So there are two things to really keep in mind when you're talking about the Yao versus Redux debate, and that's centers and edges. So obviously Redux is better for centers, Yao is better for edges. I think that's something that most people will be able to agree on. Yao does sort of impede on your centers quite a bit, whereas Redux doesn't. But on the flip side, edges on Redux can be quite inefficient and can be quite a pain in the backside, really, especially when you compare it to Yao. So one of the real questions is, where does it become worthwhile to switch? So I think everyone could agree that Yao is best for 4x4, because the amount that the centers impede on your overall solve, you make up for it in the edges and the look ahead you get from the edges, and also the fact that you also have your cross solved when you finish your edges. I think the same is true for 5x5. I don't think the centers impede on the overall solve to the point where you're not able to make them up through edges. Personally, I'm able to make it up through edges, which is why I switched on 5x5. So if you can solve your first three cross edges, your centers, and your last cross edge in Yao in the same amount of time it takes you to do your centers and your first four edges in Redux, then in my opinion, just switch to Yao straight away. I sometimes hear some people say that the benefit with Yao is really only the fact that you have your cross solved after you finish edges, but that's not really the main benefit when you start to get up to bigger cubes. The benefit from bigger cubes for using Yao is the fact that you constantly don't have to do Z2s during your edges, and your look ahead is so much better. So your first three cross edges, I solve my first three cross edges faster than I would solve my first three edges in Redux. And then my middle four edges in Yao, I would probably solve faster than in Redux, because I'm not doing Z2s and flipping the cube over to look for more edge pieces. They're all on the top layer, so my middle four edges will be faster. Now, one thing that there is maybe Redux has a slight edge over would be the last four edges. But again, I don't think it's enough to impede on the solve, because if you think about it, there are technically four main ways to do your last four edges. You have M, U2, M prime. You have slice, flip, slice. You have cycles, so kicking an edge out into the top layer and cycling it. And then technically you also have your last two edge parity cases. So the difference between Yao and Redux for last four edges, cycles remain the same. Slice, flip, slice remains the same. MU to M prime almost remains the same, except for the fact that you have to do an extra U2 at the end. So if you have your cross edges solved here, and you do M, U2, M2, no, M prime, U2, M, you just have to do an extra M, U2 at the end. So it's only one extra move anytime you ever do that. And then with the last two edges for parity, you have to do maybe one or two setup moves. So I don't think it's really impedes. I don't think the last four edges you lose a lot of time on that. It's pretty much the exact same. My last four edges between Redux and Yao after I switched pretty much remained the exact same as they were beforehand. Another reason why I think Yao is better than Redux is because where Yao falls short, which is the centers, I think there are ways to sort of get around that and make your centers much faster on Yao to the point where they don't impede on the solve as much. So if you can master slice moves, or if you want to master the use of half centers, that will dramatically improve your 4 centers or your last 4 centers, and it will make it so that your centers on Yao aren't a whole lot slower than your centers on Redux. That's remained the case for me anyway, especially on 5x5. Now, of course, the further up you go, 6x6 and 7x7, those centers start to impede on the solve a lot more, and your Yao centers will become a lot more slower than your Redux centers. But for me, my centers on 6x6 and 7x7 don't impede on the solve to the point where I feel like I would be better with Redux. And I think most people would be better with Yao on 5x5. I don't think centers would impede on most people's 5x5 to the point where they wouldn't be able to make it up on the edges. Now, for some people on 6x6 and 7x7, I can absolutely understand that your centers will probably be a lot slower and it might not be worth it to do Yao. But try it anyway. I think for 5x5, I think you're really starting to see a lot more people starting to change over to the Yao, because I think most people are making that realization that your centers don't impede on your solve as much. So one thing I would absolutely recommend to anyone who uses Redux, whether you're thinking about switching to Yao or if you just have no intentions of switching to Yao, is just try it. Like, just do an average of 12. If it doesn't work, fine. But that's how I really came across it. I was just curious. I just done an average of 12 and I realized that wasn't too bad. And then I just dropped my Yao times to the point where they caught up with my Redux times, and then I made the switch. And it was probably one of the best decisions I've made in speedcubing overall. So whether you're on the fence or whether you have no intentions, just give it a go, at least on 5x5, because I really think that you might surprise yourself. So it's just something to think about. If you're thinking about switching to Yao or something, you can message me on Instagram or something and we can talk about it. But yeah, I just wanted to give my thoughts on the matter because it's a question I get asked quite a lot. So if you ask me in a message or something, why did you switch, you'll probably gotta be referred to this video. So just let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I will be looking at the comments this time, I promise. I'll be engaging with them and responding to other people's comments, so just let me know what you think. So if you have switched to Yao, comment below why. Did the things that I say in this video, were they involved in your thinking to switching to Yao? If you're thinking about switching to Yao, you can comment and say whatever you want. Or even if you just don't think Yao is good, we can have a debate about it, a civilized debate about it. So I just finished my last college essay a couple days ago. I took a little bit of a break, but I'm hoping to maybe produce a little bit more YouTube content. So let me know if you guys like these sort of talk videos where I just sort of give my thoughts. I was thinking about doing another video where I sort of compare Yao versus Yao 5 and offer my thoughts on that, so maybe stay tuned for that. And yeah, anyway, thanks guys for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next video.